Joy Drive.
Theatre, film, TV and more. Suzy Wrong reviews it all on Joy Drive with Em and Warren.
Good afternoon, Suzy Wrong.
Good afternoon. Every week when I'm doing my homework, I'm wondering how many episodes in is Warren going to be able to make it through to?
Do you want the elephant stamp today?
What's elephant stamp?
You know when you're at school and you do all your homework and you get the elephant stamp? You didn't have those in Singapore?
No. Yeah, I guess they gave us stickers and stuff like that.
All right.
Yeah.
Do you want to know how many I watched?
How many did you watch?
About 6.
That's pretty good.
For me, it's pretty good.
Yeah.
How many did you do?
I did the whole thing.
Oh, really? How many's that?
Years and years. All right. I've always been fascinated by psychoanalysis and psychotherapy and understood the power of the subconscious in how we navigate life and in all the pleasures and the frustrations we encounter. The series we're discussing today is Couples Therapy, now in its 4th year of broadcast, currently streaming on SBS and also on Paramount+. It follows Dr. Orna Gulranik and 4 couples in each season who are seeking therapy to try to work through the problems they have at home. As an example, Lauren and Sarah are a lesbian couple in the first series who are not only at odds with one party wishing to fall pregnant and the other wishing to delay that process. To make things more complicated, Lauren is trans and explains that because the experience of living as a woman is new to her, becoming a mother is not something she is ready for. The bigger truth, however, is much deeper, as we soon discover. So in Couples Therapy, what we are watching is real-life drama. Nothing feels scripted or manufactured. Most of these people are not delivering outlandish narratives, but all the emotions are extremely intense, which I find to be captivating. The main enticement of the show, though, is the skills of Dr. Orna, who is highly insightful and astute in her ability to decipher the complications being presented to her, and then distilling them to their simple roots from which her patients can then form greater understandings and hopefully be able to work on improving their lives. As a viewer, I find this process incredibly riveting to be able to see human behavior go through a process of demystification and then feel like our problems can be solved if only we can figure out their true origins. Watching Dr. Orna work is so rewarding, and I found myself finishing all 37 episodes, hoping to gain her skills through osmosis instead of dedicated study and practice. But of course, I'm kidding myself, Warren. Now, this is a series I'm sure you were able to get into. It's got so much of the stuff our Tuesday chats are always touching on.
Suzy, you are spot on. You know what? I hate reality TV. You know that. I have never gelled with the genre at all. I don't like it. But I suppose in this way, this is kind of like reality TV, isn't it? And I absolutely loved it. It's the first time I enjoyed watching. It was almost like, I suppose it's a bit like reality TV cross with a documentary where you're just sitting back and watching what happens and seeing people's raw emotions. It was absolutely fascinating, and I love it. I love hearing the people's life stories and how it impacts and manifests itself in their relationships. You know, we're dealing with things like trauma, there's abuse, there's some uncomfortable stuff going on in these people's lives. But it's not about, you remember that reality TV show, was it The Biggest Loser? And I always struggled with it because I thought people just watch it because it's like voyeurism, you know, they're just watching people's misery trying to lose weight. But this is different. It's watching it, but at the same time thinking, I really hope you guys get to resolve these issues that you're going through. You know, I want to see them, you know, get through their issues. And it was dynamic to watch. I loved it, Suzy. I really did. I loved the camera work in it. The camera work in the series is so seamless. Where are the cameras? Because it's almost like they're not there. All of a sudden, you've got them in the therapy room and then snippets of them in their real life as well, and snippets of them just walking out of therapy going, wow, that was good, or, you know, what did you think of that? It's amazing. I loved the series, Suzy. Absolutely loved it.
Yeah, so we have to thank our listener who kind of gave us this recommendation 2 weeks ago. I clearly love this. This is right up my alley. I don't actually feel like it's very much like reality TV. I feel like it's documentary where the cameras are just, hidden and then people are just allowed to do what they want to do without any urging, any prompting from the producers. I think in subsequent seasons, she actually talks about the possibility of why are you even together? That sort of thing. It is all very how do I say? There's nothing limiting to the conversations. All possibilities are on the table.
We're chatting with Suzy Wrong about couples therapy, which you can stream on SBS On Demand at the moment. It's interesting, Suzy, because as I was watching them, I was, and I suppose, I've been in that situation where I've had couples therapy, and if I look at how I used to feel insecure and anxiously attached to various partners, and it took a lot of work to get through and understand where that came from, what experiences in my childhood made me that sort of person. And now as I watch them and I think, wow, you can just get to this place where you no longer have this sort of attachment to your partner and you can feel this most amazing intimacy and love that perhaps you can't until you walk through it. And I looked at these couples and I thought, you know what? If I was now in that situation, I would just walk away. I felt almost like I could judge them and say, you know what, there's no hope for that. You can see it. You can see it in the body language. I can tell it's not going to work. I mean, I'm not a therapist, but you just have that feeling with some of them, and some of them are wasting their time, but some of them will get through it and they'll experience this most amazing relationship.
Actually, a lot of them do get through it, and that I guess that's part of the dramatic effects, the drama of the narrative is that you're watching the first half of the season and you think, oh, no way they're going to stay together. The problems are so immense, and they leave at the end much better. And and for so many of them, there comes a very, very dramatic turning point where you feel like, oh, you're never going to get it. You're never going to make this happen. And then the following week, after a really difficult session, they come back and the world just changes for them. And it just shows the magic of this sort of, I'm not saying that psychotherapy is, magical in itself, but to be able to see these kind of, behavioral change and this kind of lifting of the weight off of people, and it's always so interesting for me to see them take weeks and weeks to draw the history, the line between history and what's affecting them now, and then they get this point of epiphany. They go like, oh, is that what I'm doing? Is that why I'm behaving this way? And then you think, oh, it's so obvious. She makes it so obvious, and now you go, all right, it's very simple.
But
really.
Sometimes you need that therapist to point that out. Someone said to me once, it's not the resolution of conflict that brings intimacy and brings you closer together. It's the process of resolving it that develops that intimacy in a relationship. And I feel like that's true in watching couples therapy. Like you just said, you can see it. Yes, there's some horrible problems, but they do get closer and closer together as they go through the therapy.
Yeah, usually it's not the conflict that's a problem.
No.
Usually the conflict that's brought them in is a symptom of what's happening, like deep down. Like what is happening with them individually, or maybe it is what's happening at home that's bringing up all this stuff. So Dr. Orner is helping them get to that stuff, transcend the conflict, transcend that particular issue they think that's causing problems, and get beyond that. And that is so incredible to watch. And I guess I enjoy it because it is hopeful, You think that, oh, maybe there's just these endless amount of baggage. The older you get, there's going to be more. That's all there that holds the secret to all the challenges that you face. If you understand, the more that you understand your history and your own psychology, then surely you come to a place where you can navigate every setback, every challenge in a more calm way.
And that's freedom, isn't it, Suzy? Being able to acknowledge your past, your history, your story, and how it impacts your relationship. and being able to understand how you react certain way, how you attach to certain people. And then, you know what, that is freedom. It's like, I've accomplished it, but it takes a lot of work to get there. I love how the doctor, you see her talk to her supervisor as well, which is something that we don't necessarily see if we are undertaking therapy with a therapist or a psychologist or whoever. We don't see that other side, and you see the toll that it takes as well. You know, the struggle. It's like, you know, you can see she sometimes needs to ask for that second opinion of what's going on here. How can I interpret this? You know, they don't know everything, I guess, and they also have to have their own resources and support because they're dealing with emotional stuff.
That is so good to see. Like to see her try to, well, it's an opportunity to see how she works, right? Because when she's in front of the couple, she's very sort of restrained and stoic. But with her own supervisor, she's able to let it rip a little bit. And then it's interesting to see how she actually takes it on. And you think, oh, of course she has to take it on. She's human. You can't just sit there for weeks and not get involved. And so that's good. And, you know, later, I think in season 3 or is it season 2, where after COVID and after all the Black Lives Matter conversations in America, she adds, on top of the supervisor, who's also a white woman, she adds like a panel of professionals where they exchange ideas. So it includes queer people and includes Black people, which is really useful for when she's talking to Black couples. And through there are also some really interesting discussions, like her peers are saying, maybe you need to ask them what's it like talking to a white woman about these issues that have so much to do with race problems in America. So I think the show goes so deep. Like, it goes so deep in a way that written drama can't get, I think.
We're talking about couples therapy with Suzy Wrong, which is streaming on SBS On Demand. Suzy, the other thing that you pointed to as well, which is really good, is the diversity of relationship. And we've got, you know, the trans relationship as well, and bringing kids into it and the difficulties that poses, but also the impact of a partner who transitions whilst you're in a relationship with them, and the fear of, will I be attracted to this person? Will we be attracted to each other post-surgery? I mean, that's a big thing to consider in a relationship, and they tackle it on couples therapy.
Yeah, that's so great, because it's really hard to write like a comedy or a drama, like a fictional story around those themes. But these people are just sitting there and kind of bringing out the really difficult things. And in second season, there's a gay male couple, and it goes into really, really fundamental and deep issues of our community.
Oh, fabulous.
That kind of like childhood trauma from, you know, one of them comes from a very conservative Christian home, and the trauma, and then he goes into alcoholism, which is a little bit archetypal, but it actually becomes like such good information to see, and to see him unravel and see him pick up the pieces through the therapy sessions. It's so healthy. Well,
Suzy, I am definitely going to be finishing the series. I absolutely loved it. It's a couple series which you can catch on SBS On Demand. I feel like we need a part 2 of this discussion, but we won't. We'll have new homework for next week.
Glamorous on Netflix is about young Marco, who gets plucked from the obscurity of a department store counter to work for a celebrity and her makeup company. The first few episodes are an absolute disaster, and I'm not sure if Warwick can handle even 30 minutes of it. But we'll find out when I see you next Tuesday.
Thanks, Suzy. See you then.
Thank you, Warren.
That's Suzy Wrong.
Joy Drive. Smart, fun radio.